Howdy folks, Don Bruce here for a final time to talk to you about OBJ models for Minecraft Transport Simulator. Now in the past 4 videos I've showed you how to import a model, get the texture applied, get the rotational part set up, get the lights on, and get windows on. And for most models, really, that's pretty much all you'll need to get them into Transport Simulator. However, if you want to go the extra mile to really optimize your models and make them the best, most efficient you can have, there are a couple of things you're going to want to do, and I'm here to show you how to do them. So, unlike the previous videos where I just focused on the DC-3 airplane, I've imported a car. This is from Dr. Professor Luigi's pack, and we'll get to this one shortly. But for the moment I want to focus on the plane model that we've been focusing on for the majority of this series. So, again, in the last video we had windows and we have lights, but there's one thing we haven't focused on, and it's the actual fuselage model itself and the composition. So if you notice, there's basically a whole bunch of shapes here, and they come together to form a model. Thing is if you have a system such as Blockbench or Toolbox or Techni or Tabula, they all make shapes in cubed formats. So if I was to go and take this little piece here and move him out of the way, you can see right around here you actually have a solid face. Now, obviously, we don't need that face. You're not going to see it. However, Minecraft will render it because it's a part of the model. And the same thing goes for, say, any other faces. So if I grab this out of the way, I can't really see. Let me grab this one. So if there's a face right in between these two, again, not really needed because you'll never see that. So it's basically an extra face. And all these extra faces can add up, and if you have an incredibly large model that's unoptimized, can result in a significant drop in FPS on toasters and even beefy PCs. So I'm going to show you a couple of tips to deal with this. So the first thing you're going to do, of course, is just select everything, so you can hit the A key, and you can come over here to Mesh and Clean Up, and there's a couple of options. So one of the most important one is remove doubles, and what that's going to do is remove duplicate vertices. So if I scroll in here and I click this guy, you'll see I've got one shape here and another shape here. Now what that means is that there are 4 vertices that make up this shape and then 4 other vertices that make up this shape. And so these 2 vertices here are redundant because they're in the exact same spot, as are those 2 and those 2 and those 2. So if you select all, and if you notice up here, it says I have about, it says 2 million vertices. That seems, oh no, that's a slash there. 2,000, I was thinking 2 million is crazy. About 2,300 vertices and 1,700 faces. So if I go to Mesh, Clean Up, remove doubles, you'll see I took 886 vertices away, so I'm down to actually 1490, significantly fewer, but my faces really didn't change too much. However, if you come over here and grab the face select tool again, you'll see that those vertices have been combined because Blender says, hey, that's a single spot. I don't need to have 2 vertices. And because of that, you no longer have the 2 faces in between these parts. So it's a good first step to combining and getting rid of extra faces simply by combining your geometry. Now this will not necessarily work for some parts where you cannot combine vertices. So you have right here, and again this one, it was able to combine them back there and similar, but sometimes you're going to find that you don't have the ability to combine vertices. And in that case, again, you can hit A to select everything, and it is under Mesh. You can go to, again, no, that's not right. It's not Mesh. You go to Select All by Trait, and select Interior Faces. So this is going to try and select all faces that look like they're part of the interior. So as you can see, I've got a line here, which tells me I clearly have a face in there somewhere, and if I can get the camera to behave itself, maybe we can see it. We shall see. Come on. Blender's camera has always been annoying. And yes, so you can see there is a face hiding in here, and in fact it looks like there's one in here too. That if I zoom out, yeah, there's a triangle face right hiding in there, and that obviously doesn't need to exist. So, again, you can go to, now don't want to select everything, you just go to select, select all by trait, interior faces, and unfortunately Blender looks like it's pulled a bit of a stupid here, so let's get rid of these faces. Obviously these aren't interior, but maybe Blender just doesn't like the curved faces, what do I know. We do not want to make these go away, so you just deselect all these guys, so only those interior ones that are in between the model are left. It's not like these rounded ones. Oh well. Not that hard to click them all. There's not that many, and this is the first time I've seen it do that, so you probably won't have similar issues. Alright, so that looks good. This one there, and there we go. So yeah, those all look like interior. Make sure there's nothing in the cockpit that's getting missed. Doesn't look like it, doesn't look like it. And interestingly, apparently there is a face around here. It just combined them all into one. So that you don't have two faces on both, it just put them into one. So that's good. We're actually getting rid of those in between there. So if you notice right, we have, how many faces? 197 faces selected out of the 1564. So you can simply go and you can hit the delete key and delete the faces, and boom, you got rid of all those faces that are completely redundant. Well, except that one. Where's the undo button? Let's not select that. And let's see what that does. There we go. Okay, so that looks far better and far not as destructive. So yeah, pretty simple way to go and clean up your model. So now that he's cleaned up, let's move on to the car over here. So again, you can select it all. You go to mesh, clean up, remove doubles. So we've got, how many of the vertices selected? About 1,700 vertices selected, and let's see, 1,400 faces. So, well, apparently I've already removed doubles on this one, so no need to do that. So let's see if there were any interior faces. Select all by trait, interior faces. Nope, I already got rid of those too. So that's actually quite good. The only thing you're going to have to worry about is if I go over here to this, which is the little back louvers on the vehicle, and I go into edit mode, which, yeah, okay, so this is always hard to tell. So if I go to this, and if I turn on my normals, you see those are pointing upwards. However, we also have identical ones pointing downwards because it's double-sided. But if you try and you go to mesh, clean up, remove doubles, it's going to see those as double-sided faces and will merge the vertices. That is bad. So, hence why I split this off, because I don't want to do any double removing with this one. The same goes for the windows, where if you have an exterior face for glass and an interior face, if you're not using the Minecraft Transport Simulator texture glass system, you may have issues with that. But anyways, this is about as it's going to get. Now there is one more issue with this model, and perhaps you can see it, is that it has these little lines here. And I wasn't aware of this when I first started importing models, but apparently Toolbox screws up the textures ever so slightly. So if I go back to the body model here, go back into edit mode, you can't really see it obviously with all these dang lines on here, but if you're in object mode, clearly there's a problem. So what you can do is if you go over here, and again you go into your UV image editor like we did in to video 1 and select everything, you can see that I've already moved everything over here. However, if you scroll in and see right here was where we had our issues around that arrow. So I'm going to scroll into that arrow badge emblem area. And you scroll in. Everything seems okay, but if you scroll in some more, and some more, all the way down, you'll actually see that the text your toolbox has is offsetted ever so slightly, which tells me that either Toolbox exported it wrong or it was moved by hand and the image did not have the snap to pixels option selected, because that is a whole pixel, so maybe it moved by hand, or I don't know. But either way, so as you can see, as I move the texture over here on the left, it moves over there on the right. And if you line it up just right there, and then you go back into object mode, you can see those lines have disappeared. So if you see a bunch of fancy odd lines like that, then it's probably because your texture isn't lined up over here. Another option, of course, is your parts are separate, such as I believe the hood is separate on this model, yes, and they don't quite mesh. And that is where the remove doubles option works well, in that if you have separate shape boxes and toolbox, it will kind of stitch them together for you. So between the stitching and the texture moving, you should end up with a pretty seamless shape. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to mention these last final things as a little exercise in how to make your models a hair more efficient. And again, Toolbox and Blockbench aren't bad modeling programs at all, and BinLender gives you the option to make them just that much better. So anyways, you've pretty much got your model ready to go, and in my next part, I will be talking about the JSON, or as I call it, JARSON system, where you actually tell Minecraft Transport Simulator how to handle these planes and cars. But I will not be talking about that until version 11 drops, because there will be significant changes between the version 10 and version 11 spec, and most content pack creators will wish to use the version 11 spec, and I really don't feel like repeating myself. So for the moment, and for the somewhat foreseeable future until version 11 finally happens on its way, this is Don Bruce, signing off.